Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another election prediction video. This time we have Joe Biden, the current president, up against former President Donald Trump. So, I changed my mind in a few states. New polling has came out that shifted a few of them. But to start off with, we have to look at the state of the race. So, currently, by the state of the race, Biden is definitely rebounding. You can see just by this chart that since 2024, he's making a comeback here and he's starting to lead against Donald Trump in a few polling aggregates. Real clear politics kind of just, I would just argue it's pretty much Republican biased at this point. They excluded several polls that actually showed Biden up in the national vote for little to no reason. I mean, it's kind of evident that RCP has a Republican bias. We could just look at their 2020 poll on Skira that they decided to put on their website in the past, which failed tremendously, might I add. I would argue Race to the White House is way better when it comes to something like this. They're non-biased, aggregate, and I like them a lot more. And I just kind of like their own map right here. Let's just take a look, if I could get to it. I like that Race to the White House just shows an entire national map here, and they add pretty much every single pollster, which is nice. I wish it would fix the margins though, because I think these kind of look like likely Republican and likely Democratic margins. I think they probably operate by probability, but I feel like it should just be lean red and lean blue. They should add as an indicator for the future. But let's go back to this map, and we're just going to fill in these states safe blue. Nothing really changed here in a lot of these states. Let's see, Nebraska. But lately, Florida, there's been a lot of polls out showing Trump up there by double digits, which I think is quite interesting. So we might see Florida possibly shift into safe Trump category here. But let's just start off with Florida to begin with. And we're just going to take a look at the polls. Let's go back to the top here. So there's been a few polls out here that showed Trump up with a double-digit lead, 12-point lead, nearly a double-digit lead here in this poll. Honestly, I think I would still put it as likely a Republican. I don't think it'll be safe Republican just yet. I think Trump will probably end up winning Florida by 8 points as of right now, maybe 9. No, I would put 9 points. I think that would be a fair margin of victory. He nearly triples his margin from 2020. I think that's probably what's going to happen. It'll be like an R+9 state. So a nearly safe Trump Florida, but it's not going to happen right now. So far, I'm still putting in the likely column until more polls show Trump up with a double-digit lead. It could certainly happen because of how fast Republicans trending with party registration numbers. They just hit 900,000 Republican advantage over the Democrats in party registration. They're probably going to hit 1 million by the end of the year, which is very concerning for future of Democrats in the state of Florida, which I kind of think they should just give up on this state. It's probably going to be a Republican vote sink, similar to New York and California in the future. Ohio and Iowa also are just safe red states. Again, Iowa, I'm very confident in that because Seltzer even showed Trump up here by 15 in the state of Iowa, and that's one of the best pollsters for Iowa in the country. In Ohio, however, a lot of polls have just kept showing Trump up here. One done by Ohio Northern University shows him up here by 12. Another one shows him up here by 11. Another one shows him up here by 10. So I think he's probably going to end up winning Ohio by about 10 percentage points. And that could hurt Sherrod Brown, but again, Ohio did show a tendency to ticket split in the past in the 2022 midterms between the governor's race and the Senate race, which is quite interesting. The governor won by like 20 to 30 points or something like that, probably like 25, while J.D. Vance only won by 6 to 7 points. So it does show some ticket splitting tendencies there. It is possible for Sherrod Brown to win. And even the polls so far show Sherrod Brown leading while Biden's down by over double digits in the state of Ohio, so it could happen. Again, I forgot to fill Colorado safe blue. New Mexico and Virginia just remain as their likely blue status. Alaska, most polls keep showing Trump up here with double-digit leads, so it's probably not even going to go to ranked choice voting in the state of Alaska. Maine is interesting. There's not been a lot of polls out here lately. It's just been a low sample size poll and an outlier showing Trump up here, and It shows the other total at 30 percentage points, which makes me doubt that poll. So I'm still remaining it as a likely blue state. However, Maine second, I think, would probably go to Trump by over double digits just due to the trends there long term. In Nebraska second, I'm going to be probably moving this to the likely blue column. I think Biden will do pretty well here in the suburban district. I don't think Trump will make too many gains here. And there hasn't been a lot of polls done here, any polls done at all in Nebraska second. So this is me just kind of winging it here, but I think this is still going to trend a bit blue come 2024. So I'm keeping in the likely blue column again. In New Hampshire, again, Biden just consistently leads here by like 7 points or so. You just take a look at the polling here. Yeah, he just continues to lead by 7 points, 5 points. One poll even shows him up here by 12, but that's a very old poll. But so far, I think Biden will probably end up winning New Hampshire by about 7, replicating his 2020 margin in the state. Moving on to the state of Texas, I would probably put this in the likely Republican column. I think Trump will end up winning Texas by about 6 points, so he slightly improves from his 2020 margin. So far, polls show him doing a bit better than he was doing in 2020, so that's why it gets a bit more Republican, probably due to him doing better with Hispanic voters in the state of Alaska, or no, the state of Texas, especially in southern Texas, which has a lot of Hispanics, where it actually trended very Republican from 2016 to 2020. So we might see that happen again while the urban areas in Texas get bluer as a result, just due to the urban/rural trends here. Let's see, what states do we head to next? Let's do North Carolina and Georgia. So I think Biden's doing a smart move by investing in North Carolina. It certainly isn't a likely Republican state like Florida and Texas. It's honestly quite winnable for him. He has a chance here, unlike Florida and Texas. But it's still a leaning Trump state. I still think Trump's going to probably end up winning here by about 2 percentage points or so. The state of Georgia, I also have as a very narrow state. Even though Trump leads here by 3 or 4 points, I really think that's going to narrow up. I don't expect him to actually win by that margin. And again, the state is just getting a lot more diverse. A lot more black people are moving to the state, and they vote traditionally very Democratic here. So I think I don't really think Trump's going to improve that much in the Atlanta suburbs either, like Kemp did. So I really don't think he's going to win by as much as Brian Kemp did back in 2022. He isn't like him at all. So he doesn't have that appeal with independent voters either in the state of Georgia, but I still think Trump's narrowly favored to flip the state. So I have this going as a tilt Republican state, probably a 0.8% victory for Donald Trump here. I think the state's going to narrow up, like I said. I don't expect him to win by this huge margin that the polls are saying. Don't think he's going to win by 4 percentage points. So moving on to Nevada, I'm pretty sure Democrats still haven't led in a statewide poll in Nevada. Back in 2022, at least Democrats led sometimes here. But since 2024, Democrats have not led in a single poll in Nevada. So even though the state underestimates Democrats in the statewide polls, so far I would have to give it to Donald Trump here, but only by a tilt Republican margin. I do think Democrats can close that gap here to make it a lot more competitive. But so far, I think Trump is still favored in the state of Nevada. So moving on to the state of Arizona, I know most polls here show Trump up with a lead, but then again, I think these undecided voters are mainly going to go towards Joe Biden at the end of the day. Typically, that's kind of what happens in Arizona elections. The undecideds go for the Democrats like I saw in 2022. And I really doubt those moderate Republicans are really going to go to Donald Trump and at the end of the day, especially with Kari Lake infamously saying McCain Republicans get out of the room. I don't think those McCain Republicans are going to go to Trump either. I think they would rather go to Joe Biden. And I think we're going to see those undecideds just go to the Democrats here in the state of Arizona. And especially with the draconian abortion ban that the Arizona Supreme Court reinstated, that's not going to get enforced in the state of Arizona. And I'm pretty sure an abortion referendum's going on the ballot in Arizona. That's only going to boost Democrats' chances here. So when you're looking at Arizona, you have to look at outside factors here because polls a lot of time miss things in Arizona, like with Kari Lake losing. A lot of polls had her winning in the state. So I really doubt that Trump's MAGA style of politics is going to play well in Arizona. It's typically a more establishment state. So I think this state's still going to go to Biden by a very narrow margin. But I just think with all the things going on in the state of Arizona, I think this is still his state to win, even though all the polls say Trump's up here by 4 percentage points on average. I still think Biden's favored to win in the state of Arizona, and I don't expect him to win at the end of the day. Really, Trump's margin of victory or his path to victory lies in these Rust Belt states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. He needs to win 2 out of 3, in my opinion, to have a chance at winning because I think he's already losing Arizona. But starting off with Minnesota, the undecided vote, or what do we call it? Uncommitted vote in the primaries was very high in Minnesota. It was 18 percentage points. They even won statewide delegates. So that's concerning for Joe Biden. A lot of Muslim voters live in the state of Minnesota, especially in the urban parts of it. So that could hurt Biden's margin in the state, which is why I only have it as a lean blue state. Moving on to the state of Michigan, a lot of new polls have come out of Michigan showing Biden actually up. We're seeing a bit of a rebound for Joe Biden in the state of Michigan. Let's just show you on this race to the White House map. One poll that came out this morning, as I'm recording this video, actually showed Biden up by 2 percentage points here. So let me see if I can pull up Michigan. Yeah, a lot more of the recent polls keep showing Biden up by 2, by 3, and there's a new poll up here that's not in the aggregate yet that shows Biden up by 51 to 49 in the state of Michigan. So we're seeing this shift in the state of Michigan in favor of Joe Biden as undecided voters head back to the Democratic Party in the state. So I see Biden has a narrow advantage again in Michigan. So moving on to the state of Wisconsin, the best pollster in Wisconsin actually shows Trump up with the lead here. So even though Wisconsin likes their incumbents, so far it looks like Trump's very, very narrowly favored here. Marquette University poll shows Trump up by 2 percentage points here. Another poll shows it at a tie, and other polls keep showing Trump ahead. So far, I think Trump's actually narrowly favored in the state of Wisconsin, but only by a tilt Republican margin. If I could just get to a tilt, I don't know why it keeps clicking off. But the state of Pennsylvania decides everything. I said before in previous videos that I think Pennsylvania will be the tipping point state, the state that decides the election. And it's fitting that we end off with the state of Pennsylvania. And this is one of the states that Biden's polling the best in, which is very fortunate for him. It is his birthday. He spent his childhood in the state of Pennsylvania, so he would probably have a bit of a home state advantage here. Let's see. Where the heck is Pennsylvania? There it is. But so far in the aggregate, it's pretty much a tie. It's dead even here. But the best in-state pollsters, again, the in-state pollsters show Biden with the leader. Susquehanna shows him up by 5. Franklin Marshall, probably an outlier, shows Biden up by 10. He's not going to win by that margin. It's very likely just an outlier, but the best in-state pollsters in the state of Pennsylvania show Biden up. It's really only the out-of-state pollsters that show Trump with a narrow 1 to 2% lead here. So in Pennsylvania, I'd rather go with the home state pollsters. I feel like they nailed the margin a lot more effectively back in 2022 and 2020. So I think Biden's still narrowly favored in the state of Pennsylvania. And that's the election, 271 to 267. Biden narrowly wins re-election against Donald Trump. So it really just comes down to the fundamental advantages Biden has. In the 13 key model, he's ahead. Fundraising, he's very far ahead of Trump. And he just has incumbency advantage, which is a real help. Incumbency advantage, again, it's just these undecideds go up to the incumbent at the end of the day, like those 2 percentage point gain for the incumbent typically with those undecideds. So in the popular vote, I think Biden probably ends up winning the popular vote by about 3 percentage points on this map here. So I think at the end of the day, he's going to win by that margin, and Trump's going to narrowly lose here. But he does manage to flip Georgia, Wisconsin, and Nevada. But, yep, this is my current prediction for the 2024 election. If you're new to this channel, I recommend subscribing, and if you agree or disagree with this prediction, let me know down in the comments down below. What states would you flip in this matchup. I'm very curious in seeing that. Well, other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.